This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
Go, 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 go.
What is happening? I don't know. Go back and see if we had any.
I'm looking.
Wow, that's great. Why is there an echo? Hello? 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 What is happening? We're having issues. That's why we're echoing. So I'm going to get out and come back in. All right, that was a load of crap.
Well, it was a good rehearsal.
Yeah. Well, let's kick this off. Should we start the intro music over? I don't think that's necessary. We're live, so I am here. Bill is coming. Hang tight, Bill. So we're gonna give this pre-show again much quicker than the last one because somehow our audio was completely muted this entire time. And I don't know why. So, give me a big thumbs up if you're here and can hear us.
There's JC.
All right, pull your mic back up to you. JC is here and he says fire.
Yeah, JC, can you hear us?
Yes, please. So, I'll start over. Welcome. For those of you who had missed because we were muted, this is the Break the Bell podcast where we fuck up every single thing every single week.
Welcome to our fuck up beautiful bell breakers.
Yes. What you missed while we were muted was they finally did it. They finally got the shit to stick with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The shit finally stuck. Convictions, 34 felony counts. The first, I know we're making history too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
History's in the making because the first former president.
Yes. Liberals are loving it. They finally got the son of a bitch.
And freaking Republicans are
ready to go to war.
Well, but they're also like spending a lot more money. JC just like, fuck it. I can hear him now. I'm gone.
Yeah, right.
So now I lost. Man, this just totally threw me off.
Yeah.
So 34 counts you think would be something like, it's got to be something really bad. I mean, you hear 34 conviction of 34 felonies.
Yep.
It's super bad, but it's really not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that. I don't want to spoil it before we jump right in.
Yeah. You look at the headlines, it's like Trump can't even vote for himself. Or
I was thinking that myself. I was like, how shitty is it that convicted felons can't vote, but convicted felons can run for the president?
Right? Yeah.
So the people in the same boat as you can't vote for you.
Yeah,
like how shitty is that?
Yeah, that is, man, that's my cellmate, and I can't even vote for the guy.
That's some bullshit. But the funny thing is that the things he got the charges that they got to stick were similar to Al Capone.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't get any of the bad stuff to happen. So it's just like, he's a rich guy. We can throw something financial, IRS tax or something related. Accounting related. You can always get a rich dude or like a corporate billionaire or somebody like that on some sort of accounting
Right.
charges. If you can't find anything else, just open up their accounting books because they probably mislabeled something.
Mm-hmm.
They may have forgot to add a zero somewhere. It could have been completely accident, but you know how the IRS is.
Yeah.
The IRS will just
Right.
doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So like even like small businesses, I feel you could probably open anybody with an accountant. You could probably open up a book if you're like, I really don't like this guy. I want to find some charges. Open up their accountant book, and it's just like, well, do you realize you left a comma out of this right here?
Yeah.
That is fraudulent financial filings.
And I've talked to like small business owners and they'll give tax tips and they're like, oh, well, you know, you can do this and you can do that. And I'm like, wow, that sounds shady.
Yeah, I've talked to accountants before with my business, and they're like, well, no, we just file it this way and this way. I'm like, am I going to go to jail for that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like you're talking over my head, but even to me who doesn't understand, like accounting was the bane of my existence in college. Like I had to take two of them.
Yes.
And I've always said, if I ever got to the point in my life where I had to be an accountant, I would probably kill myself instead. But yeah, even for somebody that barely understands accounting, it still sounds shady to me.
Right. Yeah.
That means
yeah,
something you would think there's so all that to say, of course they got accounting charges to stick because you can. It's not hard to get an accounting charge to stick.
And you know, in Trump's mind, he's like, fuck it. If something pops up, I'll pay the fine.
Right. And they're like, well, bitch, you're going to jail instead.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to get into this here. We're going to finally kick off this intro video now that we're not muted, and see where this goes off the rails. We're also we're going to talk about Donald Trump going to the Libertarian National Convention because he was invited. He went. Glorious applause, like best reception ever.
Yeah.
And not at all.
Oh.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
So
I remember
talk about that.
Some libertarian friends that were like, what the fuck? Why is Trump going to this
convention?
Convention?
It was perfect. It was just beautiful perfection. A guy like that doesn't respond well to negative
not
feedback.
At all. Yeah.
And there was plenty of negative feedback there. And he didn't take it very well, obviously. So we'll talk about that some too. And we'll also talk about, if we get to it, we might discuss how the Libertarian National Convention once again shit the bed because they did not nominate Josh Smith, which that alone is enough shitting the bed. And nominated somebody that probably won't even pick up 2% of the vote.
Really?
So
a safe vote. Like they typically do.
Oh yeah, it's too safe for anybody to actually care to vote for.
Gotcha.
So, and super liberal too, the most liberal libertarian you'll probably ever meet. So maybe we'll get to that, but first we got to talk Donald Trump. We're gonna get right into this intro video, and then we're gonna talk about our felon for president, Donald Trump. We'll be right back.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about?
Who are you talking to?
All right, we're back. Hopefully you can actually hear us this time.
Give us a thumbs up if you can.
So like I said, they finally got him
Yes.
after 8 years. 8+ years, I would say.
Yes.
Several, like, so many impeachments.
Yes.
Was it 2 impeachments, 3
I
impeachments?
think it was 3. They went for 3.
The first, historically, the first like post-presidential impeachment.
Yes. Yep.
Then probably hundreds. I'd say hundreds of indictments since.
I was gonna say they brought him up on all
there's
kinds of charges.
There's 34 just in this.
Yeah, right.
And I think that
wasn't even
still,
for the insurrection that
I
they
think
were
there's
going
still
for.
like 80 something sitting out there on the books.
documents, the hidden documents one. There's the one in Georgia.
Derek's here. He said you're a bit muffled, but that also might be my earbuds. Might just be. Maybe we're just talking muffled. I don't know. Nothing seems to be working right. So hopefully this goes as planned. Let me check my audio to make sure. I've got little bars going up and down saying there's noise. So we'll be fine. We're gonna keep going. I don't care.
Oh, can you confirm it's my earbuds? Okay.
Okay, perfect.
False alarm.
So 34 counts. I keep saying accounts, but counts. 34 felony counts that he was convicted of. Obviously, the really bad ones, right?
Oh yeah,
like incitement of resurrection, insurrection, incitement of insurrection, like you had said. No, not so much.
No.
Conspiracy to overturn an election. That's a
right.
big one out there. Convicted. Was that one of the 34? No, not so much. What about must have been the bribery, obviously.
Yeah,
that's what the media is making us think it is. He was convicted of bribery.
Yes.
But no, that's not.
It's got to be one of the sexual assault or harassment ones. No. Okay.
No, 34 counts. All of them were for the same thing. Basically, from my again, my lack of understanding of accounting, basically falsely labeling a check.
Oh.
Pretty much just falsely labeling a check.
How does one do that?
Well, you just, like I said, write something off that it was paid towards this when it was actually paid towards this.
Gotcha. Okay.
34. So all the same thing, just 34 different records of the same thing. 34 transactions that were falsely labeled. So each one got its own conviction. Not 34 different crimes. Well, 34 of the same crime, pretty much. It's like they found one, and then they're like, he did it 34 times. Let's convict him 34 times. It's like, that's what you got him on.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it goes a little deeper than that. It does. The thing is, though, that most of the media that you'll read will say his hush money charges.
Yeah, right.
But he wasn't convicted of hush money.
Right.
He was convicted of mislabeling the payment that went supposedly to the hush money.
Yeah.
So all these transactions came out.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into the article. It explains it a little better. All these transactions, like money transactions, to pay his lawyer, Cohen, because he paid Stormy Daniels, supposedly.
Right.
And then Trump's team or whatever paid him in like certain like allotments or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And each one was mislabeled
Gotcha.
or like labeled as, what did they call it? Legal fees.
Oh, gotcha.
That's what they were labeled as legal fees. So it wasn't the conviction for that's exactly what I said. You're paying your fucking lawyer. It's legal fees. Now, so when the media comes out and says convicted in his hush money trial, no, he was convicted and mislabeling a check that went towards supposedly hush money.
Right.
So he hasn't been convicted of hush money, but he can be convicted of mislabeling the money towards the hush money.
Ticky-tack. Yeah.
It's really, I'll get into all that, because to me, how can you be convicted of something towards something that you haven't been convicted of yet?
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, you didn't say this was for that bribe.
Yeah.
You mean the bribe that you haven't found me guilty of, or I was acquitted of, or you just didn't even have enough evidence. Right. So how can you prove that these payments were actually towards that when you haven't proven that I did that in the first place?
Right. But are they trying to be like, well, obviously he must have did this because he did this and he got convicted for this. So
well, that's what I'm wondering too. So we'll get into kind of the nitty gritty of these counts. Like what his conviction actually was. Like, this words it obviously a little smarter than I can, but and then that is something I want to talk about too. Do we start with this and then say, well, since the jury said yes, that he did pay money to that, then it stands to reason that he did that thing. So we'll get there though. Let me share the screen. This is from CBS News. It says, what was Trump convicted of? The details on the 34 counts and his guilty verdict. And pretty much CBS News even says, this is really kind of boring compared to all the other stuff he's been indicted on. This is kind of boring. It's kind of, again, back to Al Capone. It's like the guy was accused of prostitution, running alcohol illegally, gang wars, freaking massacres and shit. And the one thing they got to stick was tax evasion. It's like, that would almost be an insult to me as a mob leader.
Like, this is it?
Public enemy number one, literally.
Yeah.
And they got me on tax fraud.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. And it's just like, not going out in a blaze of glory.
Right. Yeah.
Jeez. He actually just went out with syphilis. So that's how he went out.
That's even worse.
What was Trump convicted of? Details on the 34 counts and his guilty verdict. Former President Donald Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from a $130,000 hush money payment his attorney Michael Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the days before the 2016 election. Now, this says his conviction stemmed from the hush money payment. It doesn't say he was convicted of the hush money payment.
Right.
It's a little like the keyword stemmed from. So this, like, there was the accusations of hush money and the conviction stems from that. So it comes from that.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that he was convicted of bribery for hush money. So we gotta keep the facts totally straight here.
Right. Because it is very much all in the legalese.
Right. It says prosecutor said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniel's allegation that she had sex with Trump years earlier, which he denies. I don't see how this can be considered like they go off to make this seem like it was voter manipulation.
Right.
And the other side literally manipulates the votes any way they can.
Right.
Like their playbook back in 2020, which was literally the manipulate the vote playbook.
Right.
Like manipulate social media results, search engine results, all this shit.
Yeah.
This guy's like, no, it'd probably look a little bad if they found out that I was having sex with this ugly ass stripper.
Right.
So if you could just like not tell anybody, that'd be great. I'll give you money. I'll give you lots of money. I mean, it's just $130,000. I got that right here in my shoe. It's my shoe money. It's my walking around money. So that's fine. And they're like, whoa, dude, he was like manipulating voters.
Yeah.
He manipulated the voters to think that he wasn't having sex with this, for lack of better terms, a legal hooker.
Right. Yeah.
Consensual sex with a legal hooker, and then consensually gave her money to consensually shut her fucking mouth, which she didn't at the end of the day.
And do you think anybody, and could he get her on breach of contract for that?
I would, absolutely he could.
Right.
At least can I get my $130,000 back?
Exactly. You didn't keep your mouth shut, so let's get it back. And anybody who voted for him, do you think they cared that he slept with the hooker?
Some of the evangelicals might have, but you're also talking about the people that voted for GW.
Right. Right.
Who thought he was like the Lord and Savior voice. So we'll get into all that. Every presidential candidate does something to make themselves look a little bit better to the voters. That is called politics.
Right.
That is called campaigning.
Yeah.
We'll get in. We can't get too far ahead. The actual charges Trump faced were far less salacious and dealt with a comparatively mundane paperwork that was generated when he reimbursed Cohen for the payments. So this even says here, it stems from the hush money, which was meant to keep voters in the dark. But it's much more boring. It actually has to do with how he filed the paperwork for that hush money. That's what it actually is about. Here's what to know about what Trump faced. What is he convicted of? Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pleaded not guilty and was arraigned last year. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, an executive at the Trump Organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid for the $130,000 he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Weisselberg detailed the calculations in handwritten notes that were shown to the jury at the trial. Cohen would receive $130,000 for the payment, plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. So I don't even know why they threw that $50,000 in there, because as that says, it's unrelated.
Great.
He paid him for something else too. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end bonus had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000.
It's still fucking legal fees.
You're paying your lawyer.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how it's dispersed.
Now, here's the problem. Is this fucking lawyer is a really bad lawyer and didn't just not tell Trump what he was doing with the money.
Right.
According to Cohen, he's like, oh yeah, I did. I told him that this is where that money was going. It's like, man, you didn't watch enough Suits to know that you shouldn't be telling him this shit.
Right.
Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was $70,000 covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to the Trump Organization for each check, portraying the amount as his retainer. Now, why isn't he made a freaking sweetheart deal, because he did the same fucking thing. He mislabeled his books 34 times, calling it a retainer.
Yeah.
And then Trump wrote that off as retainer. Now here's where Trump could, unless Trump told him, hey, send me these invoices as retainer fees, so that it does, because I don't want to write hooker payoff on my check, because that just, the last time I did that, Melanie got a little bit irritated when I paid for my hookers with the check.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
She prefers cash.
Yes. Now, from what I know about invoicing and payments, is when you get an invoice, you write a check with the exact invoice number and the exact payment portrayal on it, so you can match them up later.
Right.
So their legal team, I'm sure they said this. It's like, dude, he was just copying what was on the invoice because we had to match it up with the invoice. It wasn't our fault. That'd be like if, hey, he put the wrong invoice number on there and we wrote the wrong invoice number. That's not my fault. I wrote it off to the wrong. You put that on the invoice. It's not my fucking fault. But apparently stuff like that doesn't fly in the New York legal system. It says every time he was paid, a bookkeeper generated a record for the company's files known as a voucher with a description legal expense. The first 3 payments were made from Trump's trust, while the remaining 9 came from his personal account. Each of the 34 charges against Trump corresponded to a check, invoice, and voucher generated to reimburse Cohen. The prosecution laid out the charges in a chart that jurors saw several times during the trial. So here is the chart. Okay. Let's see. Right in March, you see 3/16 of 2017, $35,000. That's the invoice. Count number 5. Voucher. Okay, so now this is kind of bullshit, because it looks like, so they charged him for the invoice, which he didn't write. They charged him for the voucher and the check. So he got 3 for every payment. 3 charges for every payment. Wow. That's kind of shitty.
That is shitty. Yeah. So
you see here, count number 1, $70,000 in February for the first 2 months, like I said. Count number 2 was, there was a voucher for $35,000 and a voucher for $35,000. So 2 and 3 are the 2 vouchers that they wrote off for that one invoice. And then count number 4 was a check for $70,000 to pay for that one invoice. So this one invoice racked him up four felony charges. Talk about like literally throwing it all at him.
Oh yeah, you know they got a couple bean counters together and be like, all right, what can we get for him on this?
So why does Trump get convicted for the invoice from Cohen's company?
Well, exactly, because you know that Trump has never worked that hard in his life, right? So you know he didn't go through and be like, okay, we're gonna write a check for this.
He probably didn't even come up with the stupid fucking idea.
No, he probably doesn't even know what the fuck it was. He just signed a document that like,
yeah, sounds good.
And that's it.
Just throw money at it. It's fine. I've got lots of money. Prosecutor said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payment, not for legal expenses. It's still legal expenses because you're paying your lawyer to get you out of a legal issue.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter that the legal issue was shady as fuck.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of shady lawyers out there.
No,
it's still legal expense.
How much do you suppose Bill Clinton paid his lawyers after they gave Lewinsky something?
Or no, it's Paula
Jones, or any of the other women, or you know, when they get those hitmen to help people commit suicide, they don't put down their hit squad.
We're gonna get there.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna get to all of that. Obviously, we got to talk about
the others.
The right way, apparently, to hush something that could hurt your election, because apparently payoff, especially. I mean, he should have paid cash first of all.
Well, yeah.
I mean, how hard would it be? How much non-accounted for cash do you think Donald Trump probably has?
Oh yeah,
unaccounted for cash. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to have paid her off in cash. It says the jury voted to convict on all 34 accounts. As Trump looked on, the court's clerk asked the foreperson of the jury for the verdict. How you say to the first count of the indictment charging Donald J. Trump with the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree, guilty or not guilty? The foreperson responded, guilty, repeating the answer 34 more times.
That would be annoying.
Yeah, can't we just be like, do you guys have any non-guilties, or can we just
agree that it's guilty for all of them?
It says, why are these charges a felony? Because falsifying the records aren't necessarily a felony.
Right.
This is where it gets fucking dicey to me. Now, I can see him doing some shady accounting deal. Like I said, all mega corporations, all multi-billionaires do shady accounting stuff, and you can find something that sticks. Now, why it becomes a felony charge to me is what kind of pisses me off, because it says under New York law, falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud, which we could probably assume that there was a little bit of intent to defraud here by writing legal fees on there. I mean, you're trying to pull one over on somebody.
Yeah.
So under New York law, that can be considered.
But like
a crime.
you said, you don't want it to show up in the books. Payoff hooker.
Right.
Right.
So, but in New York, that's a crime to falsify the records with intent to defraud. But that's not necessarily a felony. What makes it a felony, to be charged as a felony, prosecutors must also show that the felon or the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying the records. Okay. So that's where the whole bribery, intent to like change elections or blah, blah, blah. That's how they got the felony charges, because they're saying, well, he was intending to do all this election fraud or whatever. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of a New York election law that makes it illegal for any two or more persons to conspire to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means.
So whose election was he trying to prevent?
Prevent or promote. He was trying to promote his own election by unlawful means.
Gotcha.
Bribery, pretty much.
Sure.
It says what exactly those unlawful means were in this case was up to the jury to decide.
Huh. That's shady. It
says prosecutors put forth 3 areas they could consider: violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of other business records, or a violation of tax laws. They're like, one of these 3, you get to choose.
Yeah. Right.
Again, this comes back to what I was saying before. things that he hasn't been convicted of, like what was it? Violation of federal campaign
Right.
finance laws. Or you could say that he was trying to cover up falsification of other business records.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to say that he was falsifying any other business records? Unless they're like, oh, he was only writing this one to cover up that one that he's been accused of, to cover up that. Or you can decide for yourself
Mhm.
that he was violating tax laws. I mean, sort of, kind of.
mean-
But leaving it open to interpretation
Yes,
like
right.
that, it's just like, well, we have to convince you that he was doing it in order to cover up another crime.
Right.
But you get to decide
Right.
which crime that was.
Yeah. And didn't the judge actually come out and tell the jurors that, like, kind of coach them through it? Like, look,
Probably.
this is, I'm pretty sure he did. Like, he was just like, look, he's covering up another crime. The charges they're up to you. You figure it out. Right.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing, like I said, conspiring to promote or prevent elections of a public office by unlawful means you can apply that to so many things.
Yeah.
So you can prove that he falsified the payments for unlawful means, but you don't have to prove that he did the unlawful means.
Right.
Like, how does that fucking make sense? It's
It
just
doesn't.
like,
right.
And that kind of makes me wonder, like you were saying, well, the jury did decide that he was, in fact, doing these falsifying records in order to cover up other unlawful means.
Mhm.
So now when those trials come up, it's like, well, the jury already said that he was doing unlawful means, and they've already decided. So
Yeah.
Maybe more grounds for like the
Right.
bribery charges
Well,
or
yeah.
the election fraud
Yeah, they'd be
charges.
like,
to
well,
stick.
according to this jury, they think he's covering up 3 different crimes. So now let's go after those 3 different crimes.
Right, exactly. So maybe that's why they went after this first. So then
Mhm.
the jury would say, well, the jury did say that he was doing this for unlawful means. So now we can say that he was obviously doing these unlawful
Right.
things.
Right.
Like conspiring to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. Now that's the funny thing is that's what the prosecutor said he was doing, but then the jury didn't have to be convinced that that's what he was doing. He was like, or tax fraud. Again, what's one of the first easiest things to hit somebody with?
Mhm.
It's tax fraud,
Right.
tax violation of tax laws, or campaign finance laws, or falsification of other business records. If you think he falsified these records, there's a good chance he's falsifying other records.
Right.
And he was using these false records to cover up those false records. I mean, it's such
Yeah.
bullshit. I mean, I could see them come into the conclusion that he falsified business records.
Right.
Based on this. Yes, it is completely 100% legal to write off taxes. And this is where the shadiness I get is to say something is legal fees is a tax write-off.
Right.
Now, hooker payoffs, I mean, should it be a tax write-off? Maybe, but is it legally a tax write-off?
No.
Not so much. So I can see where they're like, he falsified these records. But to throw felony charges on it because he was using it to intending to commit another crime, but you get to decide in your head which crime that was.
Mhm.
We don't have to prove to you that he was doing that crime. You just have to convince yourself that the reason why he falsified these documents was to cover up an imagined whatever crime you can imagine in your head.
Yeah, because there's several, right?
He's done all these things. Well, we can't say that he has done them, but you decide for yourself if he's done them.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, are you convinced that he did this to cover up your crime?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It just
leaves a lot open to
like
interpretation.
how is this a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why I don't live in New York. Derek is chatting in.
Hey, Derek.
Derek says, so when I write checks and put sexual favors on the memo line, I've committed a felony. Sweet. Now, the question is, did you write the check for sexual favors?
Yes.
Because if you didn't, then you didn't commit a felony unless you did that to cover up
something else,
other crimes,
which is really sad.
Yes. He says, I bet he didn't personally sign the checks out. No, he had a stamp.
Oh,
You know, he has a fucking stamp. So what was Trump's defense in all of this? Number one, they were paying their lawyer legal fees. Exactly what we put in there. Legal fees. We paid our lawyer legal fees. Why do you think I had my lawyer do it? So I could say it was legal fees.
Yep.
And he probably thought he had, what is it, like client confidentiality?
Right. As he should.
Well, as he should, but somehow
not.
that doesn't apply in Donald Trump's situation either. Also, his other argument was Cohen's a liar. So those are his two defenses. Which
guessing
is most likely the case too.
Yeah, right. And Cohen must not be his lawyer for this case.
Obviously not. Cohen made a fucking deal.
Yeah. Actually, I thought I saw Cohen on like MSNBC talking about Trump's criminality and how he assumes everybody is as crooked as he is.
Cohen is a fucking scumbag.
He is.
He was a scumbag before, but he's the scummiest of scumbags because he's a rat scumbag.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Trump's lawyers argued the payments to Cohen were for his work as Trump's attorney and not reimbursements for the Daniels payment. The defense argued that the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president once Trump took office and was paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement. Therefore, the argument went, no business records were falsified. I can see him making that claim. They also focused much of their firepower on portraying Cohen as a liar with the goal of discrediting his testimony. Cohen was the only witness who testified that Trump knew about the true purpose of the reimbursements, a crucial pillar of prosecutors' efforts to show Trump's intent. Now, should your only main evidence towards something, because the only connection they had between these payments and Donald Trump knowing was Cohen saying, hell yeah, he knew about it.
Right.
Should you rely that heavily for your defense on a fucking rat bastard?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's how they become rats. But still, yes, they proved that records were falsified, knowing full well that Donald Trump doesn't do his own records. They proved that it was paid for something other than legal expenses. Did Donald Trump know that it was paid for things other than legal expenses? Did Donald Trump even know that Cohen paid off Stormy Daniels?
I doubt it.
I don't know, but they're the only thing that they have to say, yes, he did know that, is rat bastard Cohen.
Yeah.
So their whole case rests on a rat.
Yeah. I'm sure, knowing Trump, he told Cohen, he's like, take care of her.
Yeah.
Right. And then someone probably put a piece of paper like, hey, this is to make sure Cohen gets taken care of.
Yeah,
and
he's probably just like, you're my lawyer, make it go away.
Yeah. So he signed a piece of paper, didn't think anything of it, and then Cohen did not make sure it went away.
It says, ultimately, the jurors rejected the defense arguments and sided with prosecutors in finding Trump guilty. Now, here's the next big thing. Trump's obviously going to appeal this.
As he should.
This is where things might get difficult for Trump, because Trump's main defense was Cohen's a liar. The jury just decided Cohen's not a liar. That cannot be their defense in the appeals process now, because the jury has found Cohen to be a credible source.
Right.
Credible evidence.
Yeah.
So they can't come back and say and try to disprove Cohen anymore.
Yeah.
That's off the table.
Yeah. And that's my problem with their defense, is trying to hit three different defenses. It's like, just pick one and stick with it.
But when your main defense is that's when their charge is you wrote this when you actually paid this, and your defense is I wrote that because I was paying that.
Mhm.
That's not a really good defense. And then
No.
number 2 defense is that one guy is just like the prosecutor shouldn't have relied their entire case on the fucking rat. The defense shouldn't have made the majority of their case about discrediting the rat.
Right.
Because now they don't have, so now what are they going to use as defense of the appeals?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unless they can prove that the evidence, I don't know.
I would
I don't know.
would approach it from, look, you are saying that I'm trying to cover up a crime. Prove it.
Mhm.
Prove the crime I'm trying to pull.
Yeah, prove that.
And be specific.
You should have to
right?
prove, like, convict me of a crime before you convict me,
yeah.
can convict me of payouts to
Yes.
cover up a crime.
The burden of proof is on them.
Yes.
Right. And if they're just saying like, well, just pick a crime that you think he's probably
Any
covering
crime.
up.
It doesn't
and
matter.
I'm sure it'll stick.
We'll
later.
even throw out 3 examples of
Yeah,
crimes that you
right.
can think of, and you can decide.
Yeah.
He's
So-
not on trial for that. There's
so-
no evidence saying that he did those things.
For a rich guy, he seems to pick the shittiest lawyers.
Obviously, yeah.
He needs Johnny Cochran. Where the fuck is
he
Johnny
had
Cochran?
fucking Rudy Giuliani,
Yeah.
Cohen.
Right.
It's like all these scummy guys, and none of them, like all of them, have led to multiple indictments.
Yes.
Giuliani has led to multiple indictments.
Yeah.
Cohen's led to multiple indictments. They've all led to fucking multiple
Yeah.
indictments against him. I mean, whatever.
Right.
It says, when will Trump be sentenced? Shortly after the verdict was handed down, Merchant, the judge, set Trump's sentencing date for July 11th, just days before the start of the Republican National Convention. How convenient.
Right.
Under New York law, each count of falsifying business records in the first degree carries a max sentence of 4 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. If that judge comes down and gives him the max 4
Oh
years
my
per,
gosh.
that's 120,
Yeah.
136 years. You're going to know this was a fucking witch hunt.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's going to be a shit story. I mean,
Yeah.
what? This is the first time he's ever been like convicted of anything? First time
Mhm.
offender. Yes, it was 34, but it's 34 all of the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's like, if I didn't realize that I had been doing
Writing
my
bad
books
checks.
wrong
Right. Yeah.
this whole time, I
Yeah.
did that for like 6 years from now. Like,
Yeah.
from now on for 6 years,
Mm,
and they come back, throw shit at, they
Yeah.
can get me like,
yeah.
and then I get sentenced for 4
120
years for every single one of those.
Yeah.
I mean, this was just a matter of a year. Imagine if somebody accidentally did that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this was with the intent to cover up a crime, though.
Yeah. According to them.
According to them.
Yeah.
So, well, this says each count of falsifying business records in the first degree, which wasn't the felony part of it.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter that it was the felony. It still could carry a 4-year prison term per. So,
Yeah.
good luck, y'all.
Yeah.
Better know your accountants
Yeah,
really
right.
well. It says Merchant has broad discretion when it comes to imposing a sentence. Most legal observers expect him to punish Trump with little or no time behind bars based on factors like Trump's status as a first-time offender and his age. Merchant could instead rely on options like probation, home confinement, or solely a fine. Trump has vowed to appeal the verdict, and any sentence could be delayed until the process plays out. So what do you think of all that so far?
You know, I think it's just designed to keep him busy, to keep him wrapped up in the cogs.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
keep his
all it has
attention
been
off
for the last
yeah.
8 years.
And that's all they're going for. It's like, they don't give a fuck if it sticks. If it does, great. If it's not,
Right.
it just keeps him occupied
Yes.
and away from the election.
So the fun thing about all this, so they're saying, recap here. They're saying Stormy, he paid Stormy Daniels. I think these finally just shit the bed. I
Oh.
think they finally gave up on me.
They had a good run.
Oh, we're still hanging.
Okay.
Well, it's
And
breaking.
I heard Stormy Daniels' testimony was bullshit. Like
I didn't even know she testified at this one.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I should have got that.
Yeah, I
one.
heard that they just thought she was incredible and it was kind of a joke.
She's not credible.
Well,
I
of
mean,
course she's
she
not.
switched her stories.
Yeah.
I mean, she got a book deal out of this shit.
Oh, and that's all she wanted.
So, like I said, what they're saying is he paid Stormy Daniels to shut up because he had an affair with this
Kind of ugly
legal hooker
porn star person.
because it would look bad come election time.
He should have just.
So they're
owned it.
pretty much, but their statement is that he's paying to influence the election.
Right.
Like, what was it they called it? Oh, what was it? Conspiring to promote or prevent the election of an individual to public office by unlawful means.
Yeah.
So influencing elections by unlawful means. Isn't all campaigning pretty much bribing somebody to promote or prevent elections of an individual to public office?
Yes.
Any sort of campaign, any dollars that you throw at a freaking news media, aren't you bribing them to say good things about you or bad things about your opponent? Anytime a reporter, anytime like a reporter or a news company buys up a story to make it go away, and you may or may not have paid them, or you may have given them some kind of favor. There's always bribery. Anything can be constituted as bribery if you want it to be, because you're paying to influence elections. You're paying somebody to say bad shit about that guy. And
lobbyists, corporations. I mean,
let's say I pay CNN to sponsor us or whatever, to have an ad played on there.
Right.
I pay them enough that they're not going to play any ads for the other guy.
Right.
Am I not just in some way bribing him to not say anything about that guy or to not play any like positive materials about that guy? Isn't that fucking bribery?
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that there's legal bribery and there's illegal bribery, for whatever reason, but you're talking two consenting adults. First of all, A, consenting to sexual relations. B, contractually consenting. Like they both agreed willingly to a contract.
Right.
Like he paid her. He agreed willingly to pay her. She willingly accepted the money and willingly consented to not saying anything about it. It would be different if this was like a fucking House of Cards scenario where, like he was literally threatening her life. If you say shit, I'm gonna fucking kill you, or just killing her in the first place. I mean, this is why the Clintons don't pay people off anymore.
Yes,
they don't pay people off because they don't want to risk them changing their mind and getting a book deal down the road.
Right? Yeah.
Isn't every NDA, non-disclosure agreement, isn't every NDA like a bribe of some sort?
Oh, absolutely.
Whether or not it's for a business that you work for. It's like, look, we're signing this contract. We're going to pay you $150,000 a year. But part of this is you sign this non-disclosure agreement. Aren't you, in a way, bribing them? Hush money? Isn't that hush money?
Absolutely.
Or when you go to send them away and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give you this, what's it called? Severance pay, but you have to sign this non-disclosure. Isn't that fucking
absolutely it is
hush money? Well, if you don't sign the NDA, do you think you're going to get the severance?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Or isn't every like settle out of court situation where
hush money,
where you pay them the settlement, they sign a non-disclosure, that isn't that settlement or hush money? Isn't all that shit considered hush money?
Yes.
Or for lack of better terms, bribery? Aren't you fucking like, it's not like you're agreeing to pay that person that accused you of whatever. It's not like you're agreeing, like willingly giving that, like, I just want to give you money because I feel bad. No, it's I'm gonna give you money. Now will you shut the fuck up?
Right. And
it's hush money.
Do you think that goes in as hush money, or does it go into as legal fees or promotional?
It goes in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, well, you didn't write on this check that this was shut the fuck up money.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't write on this contract for this what did you call it again? Severance pay. You didn't write shut the fuck up money on there. You wrote it as severance pay or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is they were consenting adults.
Yeah.
They both went in on this. And was it to, like, how much of the election do you think this actually influenced?
None.
Aside from like maybe like we said earlier, evangelical Christians.
Right.
But
and there's
so many other stories about him having sex with other people out there.
And the moment he went in and try to quote a Bible verse, any evangelical worth their salt would be like, bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, the bottom line is he was never convicted of bribery in the first place. This isn't a conviction of bribery. It's a conviction of mislabeling your bribe.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's like it wasn't convicted of hush money, but he was convicted of distorting the accounting side of this alleged hush money.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to prove that he mislabeled this hush money, I would feel that you'd have to prove that he paid a bribe or hush money in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
Like you can't have one without the other, in my opinion. But I'm no legal scholar. I'm not an accountant. I'm not smart in any way. I don't know.
Trump's biggest problem is, again, he gets shitty lawyers. He doesn't cover his own ass, and he trusts the wrong people. Right?
Yeah. Now, I wanted to get into other examples of potential hush money or election influencing through shady means like this, because I feel like there might be some other examples. Did you know Thomas Jefferson was guilty of hush money?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think James Monroe? Was he was Monroe?
He was the 4th president.
He had like an affair like until his death, pretty much, and he paid that woman off until her death.
I believe that.
To be quiet about it.
Yeah.
There's lots of examples of hush money out there when it comes to the president. Probably every politician has paid somebody off to not, hey, please don't tell him that I did that in my college days.
Right.
Like, I don't want that to get out here. Will you just shut up?
And it's like, and I read this article that every president who's served since, I think, Eisenhower has like a hit squad that serves under them, right?
Yeah,
that basically to do their dirty work. You
Why
think that
wouldn't
goes in the books as hit squad? No.
Obviously, yes.
It goes
Why
under
wouldn't
as public relations.
Why wouldn't you have a hit squad as a politician? I mean, you're not politicking right if you don't have a hit squad.
Yeah.
I want to get into because everybody that I've seen all over like Twitter and Facebook since this conviction came out, they're like, what about, like you said, what about Clinton and Paula Jones?
The biggest.
Wasn't that hush money? So I got this article. It's comparing Donald Trump's hush money to the Bill Clinton and John Edwards case. And I forgot about the John Edwards case because that
what a piece of shit
was literally the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
But he was paying it like they said Donald Trump paid part of it out of his, what was it, like his charitable fund or something like that. The Clinton found, or not the Clinton, the Trump Foundation or whatever, and then part of it came out of his own pocket. John Edwards paid out of campaign finances, but that's different. That's fucking different.
His wife was dying of cancer.
Oh, exactly.
Makes him look even worse.
Exactly. But that's all different.
Yeah.
And Clinton, that's different.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see why, because kind of sounds the same to me, but they're saying it's different.
Sure.
It says Trump is facing charges related to a payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. So this was back in April. So that what they don't know is he's been convicted now.
What's the source?
This is ABC News.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It says Donald Trump's hush money trial is underway in New York, and the historic case is drawing attention to past indictments of high-profile litigation involving political stars and allegations of salacious affairs. It says Trump is facing felony charges related to a payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in weeks before the 2016 presidential election. The so-called hush money is not new to American politics. Some have compared Trump's case to the prosecution of John Edwards, a former Democratic senior who was indicted for an alleged plot to conceal an extramarital relationship and a child during his 2008 presidential run. I forgot about the child part. Others have tried a comparison with former President Bill Clinton's settlement with Paula Jones in '98 to end a years-long sexual harassment lawsuit. Pretty sure rape was involved in that too.
Yeah.
Here's a look at these cases. We don't need to go over the Donald Trump trial because we've already talked about that for the last hour. John Edwards federal trial. In 2011, Edwards, a Democrat, was charged with campaign finance violations for allegedly soliciting nearly $1 million from wealthy donors to hide his affair with videographer Rael Hunter. and that he was the father of their baby, to maintain his image as a family man during his White House bid. Now, listen to that statement. He did it to maintain his image as a family man during his White House bid.
Endorsing someone.
Isn't that promoting or endorsing
Yes.
yourself through illegal means
Yes, without
to
a doubt.
public, like an election to public office?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad we can come to terms on that because this article sees the difference.
Oh, okay.
Edwards argued that the donations were a personal gift from friends, not campaign contributions, and were intended to hide his affair from his wife, who was battling deadly cancer, not from voters. He won his acquittal on one count and receiving illegal campaign donations and a mistrial on the 5 other charges.
Wow.
Experts noted the similarities between the Edwards case and the Trump case, both involving payments to women to keep quiet about an alleged affair. The 2 cases also similarly question whether the hush money payments were being used for campaign purposes or for personal reasons. Trump's team, like Edwards, has said the payments to Daniels was to spare his family embarrassment rather than influence the election. Though there are notable differences in the 2 cases, including the timeline of payments. So Trump's were obviously for political gains.
Right.
Edwards were just spare embarrassment and not let his wife find out.
Yeah.
That even though it just happens to be during his run up
Right,
to
yeah.
presidential election,
Right. Absolutely.
and it was $1 million, not 100 and
right.
what,
And-
80,000.
Yeah, and they weren't campaign donations; it was gifts from friends.
Obviously, yes.
Right.
There are notable differences in the 2 cases, including the timeline of the payments. Hunter received money over an extended period of time, including after Edwards suspended his campaign. So he owed her and couldn't pay it right away.
Yeah. Right. Well, and he had a kid, and so he had to keep giving her money
To keep her
to
shut,
keep
or
the kid
keep her mouth
paid.
shut, yeah.
Otherwise, he'd be even a bigger piece of shit
Yeah.
to leave her with a kid.
It says, while a one-time payment was made to Daniels just ahead of Election Day. Now, here's the thing, though. Cohen made that one-time payment,
Yes.
and Trump paid in a timeline of payments throughout the course of 2017
Right.
after he was already elected. So
Right.
you can't say these are fucking different because Trump's payments were spread out over time.
Yeah.
Even after, it's not my fault freaking John Edwards suspended his campaign. He still had to front the bill. Trump still fronted the bill through 2017. Hence the 34 counts, the 34 indictments, because if he just did the one-time fucking payment and wrote it off once, he'd only be indicted or like charged the one time.
And when it came out what Edwards had done, who the fuck's going to vote for him?
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
Oh, well, you cheated on your wife and you're using money to hide it and she's dying of cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll vote for you.
Right. So those are clearly different, even though he wanted to portray the image of a family man during his, but that wasn't in any way related to the same thing at all. So, Bill Clinton's settlement with Paula Jones. The Clinton settlement with Paula Jones offers few similarities with the current Trump trial beyond allegations of sexual misconduct. I don't think the Clintons' case is comparable, says Brett Capel, a campaign finance law and government ethics specialist. Yes, it is much worse because at least Donald Trump was 2 consenting adults.
Yes.
That's the difference. That is the key difference.
Yeah.
Both adults were consenting. In Clinton's situation, one of them was consenting.
Right.
The other not so consenting, which is why instead of being hush money to not talk about it, it turned into a settlement over a freaking sexual harassment plus suit. It says Jones filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against then President Clinton in 94, alleging as he propositioned her and exposed himself in a hotel room years earlier when Clinton was governor of Arkansas and she was a state employee, an accusation he denied. A 4-year legal battle ensued, at one point reaching the Supreme Court before the settlement was reached in 1998. Unlike the secretive nature of hush money payments, text of the agreement was released showing Clinton paid $850,000 to end the civil lawsuit, that he continued to deny any wrongdoing. Now, yes, text of the agreement was released showing his payment, but Did he willingly allow that to be released?
probably
Or
not.
I mean, how many of these fucking things are done like closed book?
Oh yeah.
Like that's part of the agreement. Yeah, I will sign this
Mhm.
thing, but you can't talk about
Right.
it anymore. No, it wasn't. It was legal hush money, like we were talking about. It's still fucking hush money.
Right.
It's not like Clinton's like, oh, that's fine. I'll just pay you this money
Right.
because I feel bad for like flashing my dick at you.
Right.
I'll pay you this money. No, it was like, will you shut the fuck up? Here's
Mhm.
$850,000.
Go away.
Go away. Here's $850,000.
And they still ran her reputation and life through the fucking mud.
Oh yeah,
To
absolutely.
make her life miserable.
And I want to see the actual, like, what was in this freaking settlement, because was an NDA in that settlement? Because
Right.
if an NDA was in that settlement, or you don't talk about this ever again in this, that, I mean, it's legal hush money. That's what it is. Yes. The difference is they did it like a freaking judge signed off on this
Right.
legal on this hush money versus did it behind the
Right.
the freaking judge's back. So a little bit different, but it's so much fucking worse. A lot more money, and again, not two consenting adults.
Right. Yeah.
So
And they destroyed her reputation afterwards.
yes,
Stormy Daniels has been something of a leftist.
she's a
pulp hero.
legend.
Yeah.
She's a legend.
She took
now.
Trump down.
Yes. Now, it says a settlement is not the same as hush money, said Nima Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial
It's like
Lawyers.
the most political thing I've ever heard anybody
It
say.
is. It's the most lawyer thing ever. It's like it was a settlement. It wasn't a hush money.
Yeah, it had nothing. Two totally
the judge
different things.
ordered him to pay her this money to shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of him just paying her to shut the fuck up. Now, if he would have just given her $150,000 or $850,000,
right,
then it would have been hush money, even though it's
Exactly.
the same goddamn thing. If he
Right.
would have came to her and been like, let's just work this thing out.
Yeah.
Here's $850,000. Don't take me to court. That's hush money. But
Right.
and it's not even like the judge said pay $850,000. It was a settlement, so they got together and they're like, hey, instead of going to trial on this, here's $850,000. So
Yeah.
again, it's hush money to not go to trial.
Yeah.
Now, was it specifically related to the election in this case? No, but would a conviction, or not a conviction, would losing, because it was just a law, it was a civil suit,
Right.
losing that, and how you're basically, a judge says that you are a sexual harasser, would
Right.
that have affected your upcoming
Yeah.
election?
Oh yeah, you can't go to schools and campaign
So
because you're a predator.
When was he elected? The first time, 92. So
Yeah.
then he would have been up for election in 96. So
Yeah.
I mean, this was right in the
It was
middle.
coming up. Yeah.
This was in the middle of his first term.
Right.
So he's, a lot of this is going to affect my election. Maybe it wasn't directly related to it, but it absolutely would have if
Oh,
he would have
fuck yeah.
lost this and be considered a sexual predator
Yeah.
for the rest of forever.
Yeah. And in
Especially
96,
in the 90s.
In 96, he did, and I don't know if it's related to that, but he did lose the House and the Senate.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with a lot of it. So, so there's the John Edwards and Bill
Yeah.
Clinton comparison. I wanted,
which again, both are much worse.
Yeah,
than the whole
Edwards,
Trump thing.
$1 million
Yeah.
cover,
Yeah.
of campaign money,
Yeah.
to cover this affair from his
Dying
wife.
Yeah.
And to spare yourself family embarrassment, and to look like and not tarnish your family man reputation.
And for Trump, he's never had a family man reputation.
No, but he ever
and his
thought
wife
Donald Trump
looks so much better than the porn star he banged.
That's true as well. Now Clinton settlement, not hush money, but non-consensual,
Right, which is worse.
so much worse.
Yes.
Still got to get it to go away by paying the money.
Yeah. And then destroyed the lady's life.
So neither of those, well, they're different because like Clinton's wasn't a bribe.
Right.
Supposedly.
Right.
I mean, legally it wasn't a bribe, but it was a bribe. Now let's look at another example. What about Barack Obama and Reverend Wright? Do you remember that story?
Oh yeah.
Remember that story?
Yep.
This radical, like, preacher guy that hated, was like anti-American kind of.
Called 9/11 chickens coming home to roost.
Yes. Barack Obama offered Reverend Wright a bribe to just shut the fuck up for a while until his campaign was over.
Yeah.
The only reason this is different than Donald Trump's is because Reverend Wright said no.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. This is from the New York Post. This was back in 2012. It says, when sermons of Obama's Chicago pastor Jeremiah Wright surfaced during the Iowa primaries, it threatened to derail Obama's campaign. ABC aired one where Wright screamed, "Goddamn America." Edward Klein interviewed Wright, who told him Obama's team tried to buy his silence. Says, "Man, the media ate me alive," Wright told me when we met in his Chicago office, at Chicago's Kwame Nkrumah Academy. Nkrumah. How do you pronounce that?
I don't know.
After the media went ballistic on me, I received an email offering me money to not preach at all until the November presidential election. Who sent the email? I asked Wright. It was from one of Barack's closest friends. He offered you money? Said not directly. He sent the offer to one of the members of the church who sent it to me. How much did he offer you? $150,000, which is really close to the $180,000 of hush money to Stormy Daniels.
Yep.
Did Obama himself ever make the effort to see you? Yes. Barack said he wanted to meet me in secret in a secure place and said, "You're used to coming to my," and I said, "You're used to coming to my home. You've been here countless times. So what's wrong with coming to my home?" Says, so we met in the living room of the parsonage of Trinity United Church of Christ at South Pleasant Avenue, right off blah, 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 blah. Just Barack and me. I don't know if he had a wire on him. His security was outside somewhere. And one of the first things Barack said to me was, "I really wish you wouldn't do any more public speaking until after the November election." He knew I had some speaking engagements and lined up, and I wish you wouldn't speak. It's going to hurt the campaign if you do that. And what did you say? I said, "I don't see it that way. And anyway, how am I supposed to support my family?" "Well, I wish you wouldn't speak in public. The press is going to eat you alive." Barack said, "I'm sorry you don't see the way I do. Do you know what your problem is?" I said, "No. What's my problem?" He said, "You have to tell the truth." I said, "That's a good problem to have. That's a good problem for all preachers to have. That's why I could never be a politician." He said, "It's going to get worse. If you could go out there and speak, it's really going to get worse." And he was so right. And I would almost take that as threatening.
Yeah, right. It's going to get worse.
Like, he says, "I really wish you wouldn't speak until after." Like, I really wish you wouldn't speak.
Yeah.
I really wish you wouldn't do that. And it's just going to get worse for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Reverend Wright admits that Barack Obama offered him $150,000 to shut the fuck up.
You're right.
Yes, he didn't accept it, which would make that different. Like, if Stormy Daniels said no, then would Trump be off the hook for what he did?
Right.
Because if he had said yes, then Barack Obama would be bribing him to shut up.
Right. Yeah.
Which would be exactly what we said, like the promotion or prevention of the election of a public official through unlawful means. Do you think Barack Obama would be written up on charges for that?
No, fuck no.
Indicted for freaking felonies?
No, fuck no.
No.
Gifts from friends.
Again, the difference is that Wright didn't take it, but couldn't he be?
Yes, for attempting
for conspiracy to
commit bribery. Absolutely.
Nobody's going to bring that up, and it's like a known thing that this thing happened. The guy is, of course, Reverend Wright's not going to get on the stand against him. He'll come out and publicly say it, like it's almost like it's a positive thing. Oh yeah, like I was so controversial that even Barack Obama wanted me to shut up.
I told the truth too much.
Even Barack Obama wanted to pay me to shut up.
Yeah, right.
But if you got him on the stand, he'd be like, "Oh, that never happened."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I don't know. What are your thoughts on those examples?
I mean,
especially the Barack Obama one.
Yeah.
I mean, that is literally the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I offered you money to just shut up until my campaign's over. And Donald Trump offered him. It's like, can you just not tell anybody about that weird thing we did that one time?
Yeah, and I think the John Edwards case is probably the one that's closest to the Trump.
Right.
And you know, the fact that they let him off on, oh well, they were gifts from friends, and they mistrial on 5 accounts and acquitted him on the other one.
Right.
It's like,
right.
okay, obviously it happened in his home state where he had a nice fan following, and they let him off.
Right.
Trump, you throw him in a state that can't stand him, with
Isn't
people
New
that
York
don't
his
like
home
him.
state though? Isn't
What's
he
that?
from New York?
Yeah, but they don't like him in New York.
Well, not
I
now,
mean,
not anymore.
I was going to say they did up until about 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. What about GW? Like,
Yeah,
I know there's no allegations necessarily of payouts for GW,
right.
but who kept the media silent during all his cocaine
Right.
issues?
Yeah,
I mean, he was literally
His
arrested
dad.
for cocaine back
Yeah.
in the 70s. There are rumors that he actually snorted cocaine at Camp David while his dad was president, which
Yeah.
would have made him in his 40s.
Yeah,
So not like
shit.
like most of the information was him. Most of everything he played off as, I did stupid things as a stupid kid.
Yeah,
You can't hold me accountable for what I did as a stupid kid. I was just
He
a dumb
found
kid.
Jesus and
I found Jesus.
yeah.
But in his fucking 40s, this
Yeah.
guy is snorting cocaine at Camp David.
You,
But,
know, the sense total president for Hunter, right?
right now, how it now
The difference is his dad was head of the CIA and then president.
the difference also is they didn't necessarily pay people off, but there was the big influence factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think GHW, like Poppy Bush's influence over whatever judge got him off on his initial cocaine charges, probably a lot of influence over the media, the same way as what we have today on the left side.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't have to throw money at it when you have that kind of influence.
Right.
So, again, maybe not the same, but definitely painted this pretty picture of G.W. Bush by the time he ran in 2000.
Yeah.
And then talk about like the election meddling of
his brother,
of
governor.
his brother,
Yeah.
the governor of Florida, which happened to be the swing state that allowed him
Right.
to win in the first place.
Yeah.
No influence meddling there by any stretch.
Yeah.
What about let's talk about the current dumbass, Joe
Yeah.
Biden.
Yeah.
What about Hunter Biden's fucking laptop?
Yeah. That disappeared.
How much did that literally influence the election? Let's take the Donald Trump has sex with a hooker.
Yeah.
And
Right.
didn't want people to know about it. How much did that actually influence the election?
Jack shit.
Now, Hunter Biden's got this shady fucking laptop that has all this supposedly information about connections to this company and that country and that foreign entity and how Joe Biden is implicated in all this
The
stuff.
big guy taking bribes.
FBI comes in and tells social media, don't allow this shit on social media.
Yeah.
And social media is like, okay.
Yeah.
And they don't. I mean, any article, any mention of it, just blocked from. How much of the election was influenced by that one circumstance
Huge.
alone?
And they even admitted that because of the whole Hillary thing, they were purposely withholding that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're comparing the two, it's like, well, this was to influence election through illegal means. Well, this was legal because we just weaponized the DOJ to say, and weaponized the media and weaponized the social media to say, we're just not going to allow this information out there, or we're going to say this was clearly a Russian hack because it had something to do with Donald Trump too.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump's like proven collusion with Russia, which is to this
Been
day
debunked.
never been proven, actually proven to not be true. So absolutely 100% meddling the election just on that one instance, the Biden laptop.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with all that other shit we talked about their game plan strategy to influence, have social media and search engines to influence.
Changing election laws in different states.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's totally different because that's totally legal, obviously.
Right.
It's only illegal election meddling if it's not the side that you support.
Exactly. Yes.
To me, they're all a bunch of fucking shitbags.
Yes. They're all hypocrites.
Yeah. And Donald Trump is just as big of a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to get into shortly him going to the Libertarian Convention.
Yes.
And it's just like, if anybody who claims to be a libertarian buys what he's preaching, you're a fucking moron, because he was responsible for a lot of the COVID shit, like locking down, like he allowed the shit to lock down. He pushed more gun laws than any other president in, well, I want to say any other president in recent history, because who was it that imposed the assault weapon ban back in the 90s? Was that Clinton?
Yeah, that was Clinton.
Okay, so not the most, but he pushed probably more gun laws than any other Republican president, hands down.
Right.
Definitely not a fucking libertarian by any stretch.
No.
So if you fell for that shit, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into the Libertarian National Convention. We are gonna take a quick break because we have to, because I mean, it's getting late. We've already been going an hour and 20 minutes. But I just wanted to finish up on the whole Trump verdict stuff.
Yeah.
Because how much do you think this verdict hurt Donald Trump?
I don't think it hurt him a lot. I don't.
Within 2 days after he was convicted, his campaign raised $52 million.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
30% of that was from new contributors, too. Like, his poll standings are as well, if not better.
He's a political martyr.
Now, yeah, here's the thing about politics. And this is where, like, they had to know this would happen. They had to. Like, this, there's a bigger game at play here than just to keep Donald Trump off the ballot. Because anybody who supported Donald Trump to begin with was already on the martyr train, and they already knew he was being politically assassinated or whatever. So when it actually happens, it just spikes that credibility. It just proves them fucking right.
Yeah. Yep.
So you just proved them right that they're just out to get Donald Trump. Anybody who was already opposed to Donald Trump already thought he committed these crimes,
and
already
more.
thought he was guilty of bribery, guilty of freaking inspiring an insurrection, already guilty of grabbing her by the pussy, all that stuff. Anybody who already thought that, you just proved them right as well. So you just proved both sides right.
Yeah. So you just
cemented them further into their freaking camps.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the point, was, well, people are starting to like drift into the middle and decide, maybe there's other options out there, or maybe that side got some good points. But instead, it's just like, let's just fucking cement, like pour cement on their feet, so they stay entrenched in their camps where they're at by this guilty conviction. And a guilty conviction that really doesn't say that he did anything that super bad.
Yeah.
Like, none of these are like, oh, that guy's a shitbag.
Right.
It's like,
yeah,
okay, he paid somebody. Like, I guarantee you, every politician has paid somebody off to be quiet.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, several politicians have done so much worse to get people to be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not saying the Clintons at all, but it's a real House of Cards scenario out there. Most of the time, there's so much shutting people up. So what they found him guilty of wasn't even that thing that I said wasn't that bad. It was just mislabeling the payments for that thing that we think that he did. So when the biggest thing is 34 counts connected to his bribery, his hush money thing, but those are just big headlines for the people that already opposed him. But on this side, it's like, well, he wrote a bad check. Or not even didn't even write a bad check.
Yeah, he just mislabeled it.
He just wrote the wrong label on it, probably on purpose.
Yeah,
most likely on purpose. So
again, he just signed a paper for someone else to write a check.
Right. Either way, it's really not, in my opinion. If somebody did that, I'd just be like, fuck it.
All they did was hold him accountable for things that all the other politicians and corporate guys do every day,
all the time. Yes, all the fucking time. Absolutely. So what came out of all this? Not a whole fucking lot, because there was an article, we're kind of running out of time. There was an article from BBC that said, what does this mean for the election? What does it mean for the election? Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, jack shit.
Not anything, because as we said, a convicted felon can still run for president. All you have to be is a natural born citizen, 35 years old, and there was one other. I can't remember what the third one was.
I don't know.
Something
Yeah.
along those lines. Nothing applies to convicted felon, and it doesn't even say that if you're serving a prison sentence right now, you can't
Right.
run for the president of the
He
United
just
States.
can't vote for himself.
He can't vote for himself, most likely. Thought and conduct is here. Says prosecutorial power wielded by unelected, unconfirmed figures like Smith undermines accountability and the rule of law. What? Who's Smith?
Prosecutorial power.
I don't know.
wielded by
Explain yourself.
Judge Smith.
Oh, Smith wasn't the judge.
He wasn't.
Unless you talk about Josh Smith. I don't know. I don't know. Explain yourself, thought and conduct. Anyways, we are going to get into a break because
Real quick, did you see? Probably not, but MSNBC had somebody on, and they were talking about how intelligence heads are concerned that if Trump is elected, that he will weaponize the DOJ to use against his political opponents.
so they're afraid he's going to do
I
exactly
know.
what they've been doing for the
Yes.
last 4 years.
Yes.
Great. You open this door, you can't close it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't fucking close
Yeah.
it unless on the way out the door, Biden's going to sign like an executive
right.
something, or Congress is going to sign something that says the president can't use the DOJ for his own personal gain.
Right. Yeah.
Which should be
a thing
should
anyways.
just be a known
Yeah.
thing. It's just common sense, people.
Yeah.
But they're looking at this because at first they're like, there's no way Donald Trump ever comes back. Now they're like, there's a good chance Donald Trump's going to come back. And they're like, oh, fuck, that thing we did?
He's going to do
What
that.
if he does that to us?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if he
Fuck.
does that to all of us?
Yeah.
Like the first time he said he was going to do it, but there was really no precedent to do it. We just gave him the precedent
Yeah.
to do it. And
Yeah.
he's going to do it so much worse.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. Oh, geez. It's going to be ugly. This
It
whole
is.
thing, it's only going to get
Yeah.
worse, guys.
We got a long time till election
do.
day. It's going to get nasty.
Let's get into
Sure.
break, and we're going to come back for just a few more minutes and talk about Trump at the LNC because it's hilarious, and we can't leave without discussing it. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Please don't go anywhere. Go get a drink at least because you'll probably want it for this. Otherwise, we'll be right back. We're back. So,
Special,
talking about.
special counsel Jack Smith.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So, what are your thoughts now? Are you more likely to vote for Trump or less likely to vote for Trump? Or
About the same.
right? Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
feel like that is literally everybody, whether you're pro-Trump, whether you're anti-Trump, or whether you're like don't give a shit about Trump at all.
Right.
You're still the pro-Trumpers. Still, I mean, his whole last 8 years has been they're out to get me.
Right.
It's just solidified that they're out to get him.
Right.
If you're anti-Trump, the whole last 8 years has been Trump bad.
He's a criminal.
Trump bad. He's criminal. False tax documents. You remember that? Or not? Like, show us your tax documents. The whole bribery thing. The whole Russia collusion thing. Just Trump bad. Trump bad. Trump bad. Trump bad. Trump bad. This conviction comes out. It's like, see, I told you Trump was bad.
Yeah.
The people down the middle, it's just like, I don't give a shit about Trump. Comes out and he's indicted. It's like, I don't give a shit about Trump.
Yeah.
And again, the indictment was so the charges that stuck were so who gives a fuck.
Right. Yeah.
That it's if you're willing to actually read what it was, you're like, okay, so the guy signed a couple bad checks or wrote the wrong thing down.
Right.
Yes, that I guess by law that is a crime.
Yeah.
Does it make him a worse guy than I already thought he was? No. Does it make him a better guy than I already thought he was?
Yeah.
No. So again, still don't give a shit about Trump.
And people are going to read into it what they want to. The people that are, pro-Trump, they're going to be like, oh, it was just some ticky-tack legal shit.
Uh-huh.
And the people that want to nail him is like, well, there's got to be other shit there. If he's doing this, he's hiding other stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, the one thing that because what we said was the intent to cover up another crime, and they gave them 3 choices, and you get to. It's like a choose your own ending book.
yeah, right.
But one of them was, well, he was doing this to cover up the crime of forging other tax documents. So that's basically what it was. It's like, if I convince you that he forged financial documents, then obviously you can come to the conclusion that he's forged other financial documents. And can you justify in your head that maybe he was forging these documents to cover up that he was forging those documents?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
but that's the kind of mental math you got to play in your head.
Right. Exactly. So, I don't know. Can we just put the shit to bed already?
No, we can't.
Thought and Conduct says Clarence Thomas questioned if special counsel Jack Smith, a private citizen, had the authority to prosecute Trump. Oh,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it'll go to the Supreme Court and they'll figure it out.
Now, well, here's the real question, Mr. Clarence Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
This has never been done before.
Right.
So what are you basing, whether you say yes or you say no, what are you basing that on? Because all the Supreme Court is based on pretty much precedent.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there is no we're just making it up as we go
Yeah.
now. So yes, Clarence, you can ask that question.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're just making the shit up
Right.
as we go.
Yeah, and at
because
the end of
this
the
is
day-
history in the making.
It is. And
It's
whatever
just-
you guys decide is how things are going to go down the road.
I think BBC actually said that this was like history was
Yeah,
made or
I've
something
seen that
like
a lot.
that. It's like, okay, it's not the first time a president has been confused.
Or confused.
Yes, has been accused of. I was trying to say convicted and accused all in
that's-
one.
yeah.
I was like, where did that come from? I got it. Was accused of doing something shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Just most of the time, they probably do something shittier to cover it up and
Right.
then
Yeah.
pay off the right people. And Stormy
Yeah.
Daniels was not the right person. Neither
No.
was Cohen.
Yeah.
So Trump just chooses the wrong
He
people
really
to
does.
pay off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because look at Nixon.
Right.
I mean, whatever he did or didn't do, I mean, the guy was pretty much going to be thrown out of office, and he's like, "I'll just leave." And then the next guy was like, "That's fine, we'll commute," or like,
Right.
what was
Yeah.
it? Not commute. What's the other
We'll
one?
pardon him.
We'll pardon you.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the only reason Nixon wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and the difference was that that Ford was like, look, we don't want to divide the nation any more than it is. So let's just.
That's the difference from back
I know.
then and
I know.
now.
Nowadays it's like fucking split them.
Like divide them all. Like they had it wrong. What were they thinking?
Yeah.
They were so behind on the times.
I
This
know,
whole
right?
unity
You gotta
shit.
Tear the fucking country apart.
All right, let's get into the LNC because I don't have on this. Let's see how much of this will actually play. Please tell me if you can hear this because sometimes the audio does not come through for our YouTube videos. So this is talking about Donald Trump at the Libertarian National Convention. I got to get this pulled up over here.
Where was the convention at?
DC, I think.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Here we go. I don't care about for 40 minutes straight.
They
booed him for
40
40 minutes straight.
I'm surprised he stayed there.
It's such a beautiful thing. The one good thing to come out of the Libertarian National Convention. He already said there.
Yeah. Cannot give crooked Joe Biden
keep-
4 more years.
The thing before that.
Oh, combine with us?
Combine with us. You have to combine with us.
Yeah.
Basically, so he is at the Libertarian National Convention telling them that you should nominate me, but he's also saying combine with us, like join forces with the
Right.
Republican Party.
Yeah.
Trump's one, like of all the things he could say at a Libertarian National Convention, Libertarian National Convention, libertarians who are the ones that are like the two-party system is fucked.
Right.
Trump comes in and is like, what's the other option? You should join the two-party system,
Yeah.
combine our forces here.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really basically trying to get libertarians to get on the train of
Mhm.
if you don't vote for me, that guy's gonna win. The
Right.
whole fucked up two-party
Yeah.
system. The only the reason why this two-party system stays what it is because third-party people are like, well, and I'm guilty of this when Trump was first elected. Well, I don't want Hillary to get elected, even though I don't support Donald Trump.
Right.
I really don't want Hillary, so I voted for Donald Trump. I'm guilty of it. So he's
Yeah.
at a Libertarian National Convention saying, "Do you want Joe Biden to win? Because if not, you should combine with us. It's the only way.
Yeah.
You are my only hope."
But that's Trump not
Of course,
being able to read the
Derek
room.
says we can't hear. Why is this never play on here? I don't understand. Anyway, I'll just read what he's saying, and we'll just laugh at it together. So he says, the Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for the president of the United States. Now they're booing. And he says, "Oh, I guess you don't want to win."
Yeah.
Again, and like,
Yeah.
trying to pull over this smaller percentage.
Yeah.
Try. You know, all he's doing, he's not actually wanting to be nominated for the Libertarian Party.
Oh no.
He's wanting to pull the independent voters to vote for Republican.
Right. Yeah,
that's what he's doing.
On the fence.
Yes.
That are like, oh, mate, should I go Libertarian? I'm not sure about Trump.
Yeah, and then he says, y'all are fucking losers. At their own fucking convention.
Yeah, right.
They're like, hey, come here. And you know, they only had him there for the publicity of it, to get the press there, because that's the only way the press is going to show up at a Libertarian National Convention. I mean, you're kidding yourself if you don't think that. Yeah. Derek says the bastard Libertarians made the Republicans move back from the front row, as they should. Anyways.
So, I mean, Trump would have got more traction. He was like, hey, you know what? You guys need representation. We need to get you up on the debate stage so we can have a fair.
No. Yeah, you would think that. It's just like the third party, like third, fourth, fifth parties. That's what democracy is about.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if you vote for me. I just support that that would have I would have been like, you know what?
Yeah,
maybe this guy. Maybe.
Exactly. There's something about him. Okay.
Should the Libertarian Party nominate him on that? No, but the fact that he would be supporting third, fourth, fifth parties.
Yes.
Maybe this guy.
Yeah.
But to come out and be like, nominate me, and they're like, boo, and he's like, okay, you guys are a bunch of fucking losers.
Yeah. Thanks for wasting my time.
Yeah. It's like, who signed me up for this? You're fucking fired.
Yeah, right.
Of course they picked that. Yeah. And here's the other funny thing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. shows up too. I'm not going to keep playing the video because you can't hear it anyway. RFK Jr. shows up. RFK Jr. posted a thing on Twitter beforehand. It's like, it's a pleasure to be blah, blah. It's a pleasure to be. I don't remember the whole spiel of it. Let me see if I probably can't find it now. I mean, that was a week ago. It's probably buried. Anyway, it was like, just like all the support and love from the Libertarian Party and blah, blah, blah. Then he shows up, got 19 votes. He got like 3% of the Libertarian National Convention.
Yeah.
So the two big people that, they only had there
for
the publicity of it, got nothing. Trump gets booed off stage. Probably the first time Trump has been booed off a stage ever in his fucking life.
Yeah.
He comes back out later and is like, that's fine, because he's like, I'm not taking the nominee for Libertarian Party because I can't, because I'm already the nominee for the Republican Party.
He doubled down. What a day.
It's like, I can't lose in this.
Yeah.
They either nominate me or they don't, but either way, it's like,
I
if they do
your support, but I can't take your nomination.
I know all of you wanted me to, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to turn that down. So there's that. That
sounds like a shit show.
Yes. It's a beautiful shit show, though. At least that part of it. That was probably the best part of the Libertarian National Convention. So here's a little bit of article since y'all couldn't hear that anyway. It says, Donald Trump booed at Libertarian Convention. No wannabe dictators. It says Donald Trump, the former U.S. president, has suffered the rare humiliation of getting booed and heckled during a raucous speech to the Libertarian National Convention. Trump's rocky ride at Washington Hotel on Saturday night included cries of bullshit and fuck you. Yeah, that sounds like Libertarian. I mean, they say that to each other.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So why wouldn't they say it to somebody they don't like? underlining the challenge that Republican presidential nominee faces to broaden his appeal to both left and right on the political spectrum. See, that's how you know that's the reason why these people go to these. It's not, well, the LNC didn't bring him to potentially nominate him,
Right.
and he didn't go there to potentially get nominated.
Yeah.
They both had their own agendas.
Yeah.
LNC wants the media attention.
Mm-hmm.
Trump wants to pull some of the support in from
Right.
independents or middle or liberty, like third party voters. And he didn't get, I doubt he got anything he wanted to out of it.
No, I doubt it.
It says, the fact is we should not be fighting each other. If Joe Biden gets back in, there will be no more liberty for anyone in our country. Again, you're appealing to that two-party system that libertarians fucking can't stand.
But that's, again, Trump, his limited knowledge of the United States political system.
Right. Well, it's just the whole vote for third parties, vote for Biden. A vote for third parties, a vote for Donald Trump. You know, and that's all he went in there with, and he thought that he would appeal to
crooked
libertarians.
Joe Biden. People would be like, you know, he is crooked. Yes.
Yeah. Says we must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. The appeal went down like a lead balloon as delegates booed, jeered, and shouted insults. It was stunning rebuke for a man who has become accustomed to cult-like rallies where his every word is cheered to the echo. Libertarian Party, which prioritizes small government and individual freedoms, typically gains 3% or less of the national vote. I think that's one thing Donald Trump said was, good luck with your 3% or something like that. I'm pretty sure he did. Again, probably something I would have said if I was Donald Trump too. Yeah. And probably what should be said too, like, good luck getting 3% with your Chase Oliver nomination. Taking the stage, he was confronted by libertarians who have their own factional disputes, shouting insults and decrying him from running up huge federal deficits and enriching pharmaceutical companies with the coronavirus vaccine development. A smaller core of diehard Trump supporters clad in Make America Great Again hats and t-shirts chanted USA, USA. One person unfurled a Palestinian flag. Man, there was everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody across the spectrum there. It says, amid the melee, Trump's appeal to libertarians to vote for him or join his campaign were repeatedly rebuffed. Referring to the 4 criminal indictments against him, he joked, if I wasn't a libertarian before, I sure as hell am a libertarian now. You're not a fucking libertarian. The ex-president quoted an article written by political commentator DeRoy Murdoch, arguing that libertarians should vote for Trump. The crowd again erupted in boos and jeers. He says, only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep your 3% every 4 years. Again, show up to the LNC and then just insult them.
Yeah.
Because they don't agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is not a way to convince them to your side.
Yeah.
Trump went on to argue that libertarians should make him their presidential nominee or at least vote for him in the election. Again, there were boos and wails of derision. He went on, the libertarians want to vote for me, and most of them will because we have to get rid of the worst president in history, and together we will. The Republican promised that if elected, he would put up a libertarian in his cabinet and others in senior posts. Bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Again, the crowd made clear its dissent. Ever the salesman Trump prodded, pretty good, that's pretty big. But this time, the old tricks didn't work. Again, Trump chided them for getting 3% in past elections. No, you want me to come, or you want to make yourself winners. It's time to be winners. You have a lot of common sense. Trump pressed on with his speech, said he'd come to extend a hand of friendship in common opposition to Biden. That prompted a chant for "We want Trump" from supporters, but for cries of "End the Fed," a common refrain from libertarians who oppose the Federal Reserve. One person who held up a sign reading "No wannabe dictators" was dragged away by security? Really?
What? Why?
I don't know. Because they called him a bad thing? I don't know. Yeah, that makes it sound like he's definitely a diehard libertarian.
Yeah.
The ex-president claimed that much of his record was libertarian, citing examples of tax cuts, slashing bureaucratic red tape, canceling and defunding federal diversity, equity and inclusion programs. He promised to appoint libertarians to a task force to rapidly review the case of every political prison who has been unjustly persecuted. Now, here's one thing you got wrong there. I don't know about all libertarians, but all libertarians I know are highly opposed to task forces because it's a waste of fucking money.
Yeah, right. And it just sounds like red tape.
It's like, I'm a libertarian and I'm going to appoint a libertarian task force of the Libertarian Committee on Libertarian Affairs.
That sounds like something he would say.
Yes.
But if he came out and was like, hey, let's free Snowden, let's end the Fed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But no, Trump can't do that.
Trump said, as everyone knows, it will be my great honor to pardon the peaceful January 6 protesters, or as I often call them, hostages. They're hostages. There has never been a group of people treated so harshly or unfairly in our country's history. What about it? Julian Assange, you fucking bastard. Yeah. This abuse will be rectified, and it will be rectified very quickly. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute Ross Ulbright. Now, he probably had no fucking clue who Ross Ulbright was. Mm-hmm. Somebody's like, you want to get the libertarians on your side? Say Ross Ulbright.
Yeah. Say
Ross Ulbright or say Julian Assange. You say one of those two things and you'll get them on your side. Right. You know that is, right?
Yep.
Silk Road guy. The room where many had been waving free Ross signs erupted in roars and whistles of approval. Albright was the co-founder of Silk Road, an online marketplace for sale of heroin, cocaine, LSD, and other illegal drugs. Bullshit. Now, The Guardian, you're worse than the people that put him in jail in the first place. He was the co-founder of a marketplace for the sale of heroin, cocaine, LSD, and other illegal drugs. No, he was the founder of an online marketplace.
Period.
The end.
Right.
A free market.
Yeah.
The end. That happened to sell heroin, cocaine, and LSD and other illegal drugs. To say that is a fucking lie. With that, the tide had turned in Trump's favor, and his gamble of addressing the convention was looking less disastrous than his first appearance, or than it first appeared. The crowd gradually became more muted and supportive. I doubt it. The ex-president received further acclaim for pledging to sign an executive order banning federal agencies from censoring free speech, introduce record tax cuts, oppose the Green New Deal, and drill for oil and gas, secure the future of crypto and Bitcoin currencies, and defend religious liberty and gun rights. Still, not everyone was won over. When Trump said, I want your support, and again, you can either nominate us and put us in the position or give us your vote. A chorus of boos rang out. So it doesn't sound like they were being more supportive. They just probably were getting thirsty.
He's just quoting Republican talking points.
Well, it just he looked up some libertarian, the closest libertarian Republican talking points, and then he threw out Ross Ulbright's name.
Yeah, right.
Grumpy Gnome says Trump had 2 weeks to pardon J6 protesters. He also had fucking 4 years to pardon Julian Assange or Edward Snowden, and he failed on all those counts too.
But he pardoned a bunch of other people.
Right.
Nobody cared about.
Now, when did Ross Ulbright go to jail? 2015 when he was sentenced to life in prison. So he had a whole
term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His whole four fucking years to pardon Ross Ulbright. Why didn't he do that? If he's so hell-bent on, if you guys vote for me on day one, I'm going to do this. Why did 4 years you didn't do it? Why now?
Yeah.
Because you're wanting to appeal to the libertarians.
Yeah.
Goes on to say afterwards, one delegate who gave his name only as Joe said he's full of shit. Thank you, Joe. It's absolutely right. Glenn Lewis, a chairman of the Libertarian Party of Mississippi, said it was a lot of politicking. He came here to tell us to pull our people's votes toward him using the fear of Joe Biden's presidency. But real men and women vote on integrity. Except for the LNC, half the time they don't, which is why we don't ever get good people. Lewis, who is 54, a military veteran, served in Afghanistan, added, I went into the group of Trump supporters who could not defend him printing money. They could not defend him giving immunity to pharmaceutical companies. They could not defend him stopping war or not stopping the wars. I will benefit I will benefit him with not starting any new ones, but he did not end the ones that were there. Michael Fitch, who has been a member of the Libertarian Party since 2012, said he appreciated Trump's bravery in coming to the convention, but had no intention of voting for him. A lot of people like Donald Trump because they think he's a conservative, but he's not a conservative. He's actually raised the deficit. He spent millions and millions of dollars. Absolutely. He capitulated the pharma regime. Obviously, his base, the MAGA revolution, is very anti-lockdown, but Donald Trump was the one who did Operation Warp Speed. We can't let this guy off the hook. If we're going to come after Anthony Fauci and Biden, Trump's on the same list. He's just as complicit as the rest of them. I don't think his base fully appreciates that, and Donald Trump isn't going to be the one to tell him it. Anyway, it keeps going on and on and on. So,
yes,
hilarious in my opinion. Just the fact that I don't know. Honestly, to be honest, I could see some members of the Libertarian National Convention putting him up just because I don't know.
It gets their attention.
Right. So he goes, he gets booed. How big of an ego? He went back and threw a bitch fit after that.
Yeah, he's like, "Why'd you book this shit?
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're all fired." Just fires his whole campaign thing.
Yeah,
I got booed on national TV. You're all fired. Now the person that they did nominate, this Chase Oliver guy, he's the new socially liberal face of the Libertarian Party. I don't know
oxymoron.
I don't know anything about this guy at all, except for what I heard my brother bitch about, and I've read a little bit on him. He's not a winner by any stretch.
He doesn't look like it.
Like, the Libertarian Party has an issue with picking a dangerous candidate.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's Josh Smith. I don't know if that's what is it? Spike Cohen.
Right.
Or whoever, but they have a hard time. Like, they want a political person, like somebody that's political.
Right.
And that's not going to get the fucking votes, because if somebody wants political, they've got this side to choose from or this side to choose from. If they want something to actually be fucking different, they'll throw up somebody that garners, like, how many, I didn't even see how much Josh Smith was garnering in like views and like support and stuff, but how much support did like Spike have before they nominated Joe? The only reason Joe Jorgensen got the amount that she got was because of Spike Cohen. Otherwise, she would have probably got less than 0.5%, because she was a nothing candidate herself. Spike Cohen, like, absolutely hands down is responsible for any vote that Joe Jorgensen ended up getting last year or last cycle. So this talks a little bit about him, just so you know who we're involving here. It says, throughout former President Donald Trump's speech at the LNC last week, he was booed more than cheered. Multiple shouting. Yeah, we already talked about all that. It says, on Sunday, the Libertarians didn't choose the former president as their nominee, opting instead for one of their own, 38-year-old party activist Chase Oliver, who represents the socially progressive wing of the Libertarian Party. In his home state of Georgia, Oliver previously ran for Georgia's 5th Congressional District special election to replace the late John Lewis. And then in 2022, Georgia sent an election where he amassed enough votes to force a runoff between the GOP and the Democratic candidates. Reflecting the sentiments of the Trump-booing libertarians, Oliver expressed his disdain for the former president in Real Clear Politics interview Tuesday. He said, I think if Donald Trump was really a candidate worth his salt, he wouldn't have to worry about the 3%, but he knows he has to worry about it because his base has been shrinking, Oliver said. Although he explains he didn't approve of how Twitter coordinated with federal agencies to censor speech, he stood by his January 8, 2021 tweet where he wrote, "Bye, Donald Trump, glad you're banned." So he supported Donald Trump getting banned from Twitter, so he really supports free speech.
Right.
Says Twitter has been a lot better without him. I can understand that. Like, yes, Twitter probably has been a lot better without him. Oliver's socially liberal views are most pronounced on issues of abortion and transgender rights for minors. In an interview with 2018 Libertarian presidential candidate Austin Peterson, Oliver said he's against irreversible surgery but favors gender-affirming treatments such as puberty blockers. I don't agree with you there.
Yeah.
On abortion, his website states he will work with states to decriminalize abortions, as these decisions should rest in the hand of individuals and their doctors. RCP sent a follow-up email to clarify his position on whether abortion should be illegal at any stage of fetal development and gender-affirming care, but that he has not responded. So he says gender-affirming puberty blockers should be legal. They ask at what age? He doesn't respond. He says abortion should be decriminalized. At what stage in the pregnancy? He doesn't respond. Again, disagree on both those topics. Dr. Michael Rechtenwald, the runner-up candidate, LP candidate, endorsed by the Mises Caucus, which emphasizes libertarian free market economics over social policy, told RCP that all libertarians do not share Oliver's social positions. For example, Rechtenwald argued that babies in the womb also have rights. I believe abortion violates the non-aggressive principle against the most helpless people in society, those in the womb. And so those people have the right to live just like everybody else. He also said he and other libertarian Mises Caucus members are opposed to trans surgeries and puberty blockers because they don't believe children can meaningfully consent to such life-altering drugs and procedures. I agree. They can't consent literally to any other medical procedure except for that one. Can't consent to like life-saving surgical measures, but they consent to that.
Yeah.
Another example of Oliver's more liberal views is the top issue on his campaign website, immigration. Oliver's primary position on the issue is that he wants an Ellis Island-style immigration system where immigrants can come to a border crossing, and as long as they're not wanted for a crime that requires extradition, they're welcome and given government IDs. His running mate, Mike Termatt, echoed Oliver's support for more accessible paths for legal immigration, saying Libertarian presidential debate on Saturday, "I'm here to invite the entire nation of Cuba into my state." All right. Some other libertarians, including Josh Smith, advocated instead for closed borders. Smith, who defines himself as an American first libertarian, said in the debate, "We've got to worry about Americans first. It's very important. If you want to be a sovereign nation, you cannot flood the borders." Rechtenwald also advocates for a more restrictive immigration policy, telling the RCP that he favors a privatized invitation-based system of immigration, where someone can only immigrate if they have an invitation. That's weird. And the organization that invited them is liable for the actions of the people who they invite. Okay. Other issues, Oliver told RCP that to end the drug trade, the best solution would be to legalize all drugs so that they are standardized and not contaminated with fentanyl and any unknown substance. You don't need somebody telling you that heroin is a bad idea. You don't need a government being your nanny to tell you that. You have a society and culture that can inform you of the dangers of drugs without creating a police state. I somewhat support that.
Yeah.
On foreign policy, Oliver says the United States should become a beacon of peace to the world. He clarified in an interview that RCP that this means he believes we should stop giving aid to nations and territories currently at war, including Israel, Ukraine, and Gaza. Now, I can stand by that.
Yeah.
One central sticking point was that we should eliminate permanent entangling alliances such as NATO and instead handle our alliances with foreign countries on a case-by-case basis. I can stand by that. Anyway, this goes on and on and on, and we're well over our time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with everything this guy says. I don't disagree with everything this guy says.
Right. Yeah.
I do agree that this guy probably is not going to garner much. The most he would garner, maybe he could convince ultra liberals that don't really have Biden's back anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
But if he is truly libertarian, then he's opposed to a bunch of social programs. Even though he's a social liberal, he's got to oppose social, like the tax-funded social programs.
Right.
It says he wasn't afraid to criticize the way he thought Democrats, including Biden, create too many social programs that cost taxpayers too much. Big government liberals who think that every problem has to be solved through some sort of program and some sort of bureaucrat in some sort of process or department. And the truth is the world will work better when we get government out of our lives. So that said means he won't really pull in too many of the far left liberals that are all about the social programs and the government putting their 2 cents in everything, and the government funding everything and subsidizing everything, and the world will be a better place if there's more government. They won't vote for this guy either, even though he has some social liberal concepts.
Unless it's the Democrats that they're they don't want us to be involved in war, they don't want us to give so much overseas, but they do support his views on abortion and trans rights.
Now, I guess you take it for what it is. I mean, I could see how this guy could pull in some right-leaning people on some issues, and he could pull in some left-leaning people on some issues, and he could pull in some libertarians on some issues, but is he the hard charge candidate that the Libertarian Party needs?
I don't think so.
No, it sounds like he just...
he seems too safe.
Yeah, he's way too safe of a person.
Yeah, I mean, there's other candidates that believe the same thing he does with more backing.
Yeah, we need candidates that want to make noise.
Yeah.
Not, hey, I'm very political and politically correct, and I check off boxes and stuff. I'm a politician. We don't need a fucking politician. We need a freaking revolutionary, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like somebody that's actually willing to get shit done, that actually would walk in and start shutting shit down, that actually would walk in and just wipe out a bunch of government agencies or wipe out a bunch of federal programs and stuff. But instead you get people that are like, I'm political and we have to play the political game in order to be political. It's like, you're not going to get anywhere playing the political safe game because, I mean, 3% tops.
Right. Yeah.
We need, like, it's not working, guys.
Yeah.
It's not working playing the safe candidate. Yes, it might sound good on paper. Hey, we play a safe candidate. We have a better shot of getting on the debate stage. We have a better shot of, like, being taken seriously. It's not fucking working, though.
Right.
Like, you need somebody that's willing to get a little messy.
Yeah.
Yes, flip some tables, like, make some noise.
Dick,
Yeah, we need somebody, somebody that's willing to, like, call people out. I don't know if you saw Dave Smith. Like, he keeps saying he's going to run for president. I don't know what Dave Smith's problem is. He just won't fucking run for president. But he debated Chris Cuomo the other day, and he was calling him out for all kinds of shit when it came to, like, COVID. He's like, I never said, I'm not the one that said ivermectin was a horse, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you did. He's like, do we got can you pull up the clip? And he was like, you said it, you laughed about it, you made fun of people that took it, you said it. He's like, well, that was before they came and told me that this actually wasn't this, but it was, and after that, I never said it. And like everything, Dave Smith's like, bullshit. No, you said this, you did that. I mean, he made him look like an asshole, but it's like, people like Dave Smith are probably too smart to actually run for president. It's like, I don't want that shit. But it's people like that could get some freaking movement to the campaign, or Josh Smith, or Spike Cohen. How much support did Spike Cohen pull into the Libertarian Party? Like, people that had no idea what libertarians were, they just knew they weren't that and they weren't that, and then Spike Cohen comes out, it's like, that's kind of me. But instead we get the safe Chase Olivers. And so because of that, we are stuck with Joe Biden and 34-time convicted felon Donald Trump, and that's all we're in. Donald Trump knows it. That's why he comes in and he's just like playing the two-party game, even in the LNC. It's like, what are you gonna do? But I mean, when he comes out, it's like, good luck with your 3%. It's like, you know what? You're fucking right, dude. Yes, you were a dick for saying it, but you're fucking right. You're absolutely right. Good luck with our 3%. You got any final thoughts on all this? Grumpy Gnome's going to bed, so it's time for us too.
It's ridiculous to me that again, it's like the Libertarian Party. They're just happy getting a little bit of press from
Right.
having Trump come out, and that's really sad. That
Right.
it's like
When their claim to fame is they had Donald Trump on their stage
Yeah.
and he got booed. That's their claim to fame.
Right.
That the DNC National
that's
Convention.
sad. That's sad.
That is fucking sad.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
I'm really disappointed in the Libertarian Party.
I'm sorry if you're out there. I've never, even on this show, I claim to be a little L libertarian. I've never claimed the Libertarian Party as my party, even though like I do vote for the Libertarian. But I don't know if I'm going to vote for this guy just because he's the Libertarian candidate. Isn't that as bad as voting for Trump because he's not Biden?
Exactly.
Because this is the Libertarian candidate and we want more. Like, again, vote by your freaking your morals or your convictions and stuff. If I choose to vote for this guy because he's the Libertarian candidate, that's not because I'm voting for my convictions.
Right.
It's because he's
got an L behind his name.
He's got an L behind his name. And that's why for the last 4 years I have said I'm not a capital L libertarian. I don't want anything to do. I want to focus. I might not even get out and vote this year. There's a good chance I won't. If this guy doesn't come out and wow me,
right?
Because I know Donald Trump's not going to wow me in any fucking way, and I know Joe Biden's going to fall asleep.
Right.
If this guy doesn't come out and wow me, I'm not going to waste the effort to drive a block up the road to vote for a guy that I don't really stand for. I'd rather focus all my attention on myself, my family, my community and shit than give two shits about the Libertarian National Party anymore.
No, I absolutely agree. It's like, give better candidates.
Yes.
They're there.
Right.
So pick them. Don't pick the safe guy. Don't pick the political guy. Be the Libertarian Party.
I thought this time we might.
I know you had high hopes for Josh Smith.
Well, I just thought they might, because the Mises Caucus was the one they kind of took over. Or they kind of, I wouldn't say took over. They kind of, there was a thing. It was almost like a coup in the Libertarian Party. And I thought maybe something would be different this time around, but nope, there wasn't. So that's all I got. I don't want to keep bashing the Libertarian Party, but do better, please. At some point, you got to do better.
Yeah.
I mean, since Ron Paul, when was the last good Libertarian candidate?
Yeah.
Besides Spike, obviously. But he was VP candidate.
Right.
Any final thoughts on the Trump indictments?
Oh, like I said, I think the next half of the year is going to be a shit show.
Oh, well.
This is just going to be a small part of it. I think it's going to inflame both bases, and it's going to become more militant, more violent, and I don't think it's going to end the way we think it's going to end.
Oh, it's going to end exactly how we think it's going to end. Exactly what you just said. That's how we've been saying for the last 4 years. It's going to come down to Trump and Biden, and it's going to. Doesn't matter what side wins. It's going to become a bigger shit show than the last time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they want too. And that's why they wanted to cement us in to these positions with these indictments, so it would be exactly the shit show that they needed to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could probably impose some sort of freaking martial law or something. I don't know. Either way, it's all fucked. So that's all I got to say about it.
You still think they're gonna pull Biden at the last second and throw Michelle in there?
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all the... Have you ever thought that maybe voting...
Stop it. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot about it, but I want to. Maybe there's a reason we haven't heard a lot about it, because they're wanting us to forget about it.
Yeah, right.
So then they can do the 180 at the last second. Something's got to happen.
Yeah.
Joe Biden can't.
They can't run him again.
They can't.
No,
he can't win. There's no way he can fucking win.
No.
Which I said that last time, and somehow they pulled a rabbit out of their hat.
Well,
and it happened.
They pulled a lot of shit.
We have yet to see what's in the works.
Yeah,
I know it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be shitty.
I agree.
Let's get out of here. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. I mean, this is so depressing. It's sad. I'm gonna go like freaking, I don't know, take a bunch of pills and I don't know. This is depressing. There's no hope. There's no hope anymore. This election's fucked. Either way. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. Share us far and wide so you can share in our depression with us. You can find us at our handle at Break the Bell Pod on the social medias. Share us with your friends because they want to be just as depressed as we are right now. Check us out. We should be back here next Monday, I'm pretty sure.
Yep,
So
yep.
we thought that last week too, and it just didn't.
Yeah,
So
it happens.
shit happens.
It does.
We don't make any promises anymore. We will try to be back here next Monday night. Anyways, have a great rest of your week. Do something that makes you happy. Stop focusing on the politics.
Yes.
Even though that's what we're focusing
Yeah,
on. Stop.
Like you
Just
said.
Stop.
Focus on you, your family,
Your community. All that
That's all
shit.
you can do.
That's it. I mean, that's what makes the world a better place.
Absolutely.
Not a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.